We're the 2011 JPC Mongolia group. My name is Carlin Tacey. I'm a fourth-year architecture major.
My name's Sarah Culver. I'm a fourth year in the college. I'm double majoring in anthropology and environmental thought and practice.
My name is Claire Kuroraton, and I'm a history major and also a global development studies major.
So the basic question our project sought to explore was what types of recycled resources could be used in a productive way and by what means. We were specifically interested in waste management in rural Central Asia, and this was mostly due to the participation and contributions of Tashi, our Tibetan exchange student, on the project, and the parallels between Tibetan and Mongolian pastoral culture.
Now, we intended to answer this question through the use of a multidisciplinary, multinational team. So one of our goals was to get as many different collaborators into this as possible to provide, to be able to produce a creative result in our project. So we had our team of University of Virginia students, our Tibetan exchange student from the Minority University in Beijing. We had various non-governmental organizations in Mongolia, professionals from the Charlottesville community and the surrounding area. We had a participant from Nelson. And the intention of this project was to create a greenhouse using these recycled resources. So these are some of the three goals that we hope this greenhouse would accomplish: using as many local recycled resources as possible, to provide additional space for food production on our site, and to help extend the growing season there. Now, our site was a resort in the Arhangai region of Mongolia, which was seen in the first slide.
So as Sarah's mentioned, one of the main thrusts of our project is the wide variety of collaborators that we had. But as our project increasingly developed, we found it a lot more difficult to maintain all of the expectations of our different partners. And because of this, it was hard to decide who exactly is it that we're accountable to, and what are the goals that we should focus on. Is the main goal of our project to focus on the glass? Is it to focus on the greenhouse as a productive facility, or is it to focus on the transfer of knowledge between us and the Mongolian engineers? And so, as this diagram shows, one major problem that we encountered was the question of whether to have a kiln or not. We were deciding whether to buy a kiln or whether to build it there, and this created a lot of logistical problems for our team, as well as problems of how to conceptualize our project as a whole.
So our original design intentions pre-departure were really focused on innovation and reuse, but also on simplicity. We wanted to begin something that the community would very much be a part of, contribute to, and continue expanding on after we left. However, a number of partners were sold on the concept image of the greenhouse reflecting the shape of a gur, which is the traditional nomadic home. And so on site, we ended up pursuing that vision as opposed to the more original manageable design options that we came up with before leaving. The structure itself consisted of a greenhouse made out of recycled glass, bottles, beetle-eaten wood posts, as seen here, and other local recycled resources. The rafters met at an inner ring, and the 19 sides that came off of those were compiled with bottles collected on site.
This image shows some of the different ways we prototyped this use of bottles. As you can see in this left side there, those were some of the glass panes created through the melting of glass in the kiln. However, we weren't able to complete the greenhouse using only that technology due to some difficulties with electricity production on site. So we had to prototype other ways, which we developed through an iterative design process with our collaborators, specifically the local community and the Mongolian engineers from the Mongolian National University. So as you can see in the bottom left there, those were a sort of bottle wall that we wired them together and placed them into a frame created with waste wood that we found on site. And here, this is an image of the part of the north-facing wall, which doesn't receive as much direct sunlight and is actually in a greenhouse better used as an insulative wall. So this is a mortar glass bottle wall, which was used cement and clay. And the bottom here is a coal ash wall, since they had extensive coal ash on site.
So the physical product of our project was a direct result of the wide variety of expectations that we all had. So us JBC students, we were coming from a more academic standpoint, like what is it exactly to engage with the community, whereas some of the Mongolian engineers that we were collaborating with were coming from a more technical standpoint of glass melting, how to work with this new technology. And additionally, some of our partners were more product-oriented, and so they were pushing for an actual greenhouse and an actual product at the end. And the complications that our project had resulted from the lack of transparency of all of these different standpoints, and also, I guess, a lack of fleshing out of all of these different problems.
So taking a closer look at our various partnerships, in the process, we made a graphic to kind of understand where people were coming from before, during the project, and where they kind of went after. And I guess it's also meant to kind of understand the complexity involved in this. So we can kind of see that MCAM began working with MICP, our Mongolian partner, the summer before. Sarah started working with our faculty advisor, Bob Swap, in the summer before on her summer abroad in South Africa. The GDS class he was also running helped begin the process of developing our JPC project, and Tashi also brought in her connections with Winrock International and Paul Song, who also contributed to the time actually in Mongolia constructing the greenhouse, and then various afterward partnerships that we'll go into later.
Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the less tangible outcomes, the result of relationships. And so this is the image of we had partners coming in and out due to logistics of when they were actually able to be on site in Mongolia. These are the partners who were there at the completion when everyone had to go home at the end. And our Tibetan partners, Tashi and Paul Song, they've been incorporated into the East Savannah multinational research network that's run by our faculty advisor, Bob Swap. They were able to come to the University of Virginia and participate in the J-term class that's a part of that network, and so that's fostering deeper relationships between our university and theirs. There's also the relationships that were previously unformed between the Mongolian Academy of Sciences and the Mongolian National University. Bagi in the middle there was our translator and a Mongolian National University student, and then. So this provided a unique opportunity for international exchange through university that we had not had this level of exchange with before. Go to the next slide. And this is, we also had the ability for, wait, is this my slide?
So our project definitely didn't end when we left Mongolia. A large part of it was also how we processed what had happened after. And so the JBC writing process, as well as writing for different publications, definitely helped us think about what had happened for our project. And also even deciding what publications we were going to send to. Do we focus more on the partnership side? Do we focus more on the structural side? And writing all of these different articles sort of helped us see how things connected and how we could approach analyzing this project.
So some larger takeaways. During the project, it became apparent that there were a number of dualities within the experience of implementing a service learning project in a development context. The first being between process and product. Like Claire mentioned, our intention was to focus on process, and although we did extensive research and preparations to push forward a final product, still challenged our focus on community engagement.
A second one of these dualities that we encountered in our project was that between ideology and application. Our ideology focused on community engagement and the process of using, or the concept of using recycled resources, but actually through that process of engaging with the community and meeting the needs and expectations that they had, that also switched the application of how we apply those and the creative process. So there's a compromise there.
And lastly, another takeaway point that we had was to think about what exactly does it mean to build relationships and what exactly does it mean to engage with the community. So even though there were a lot of problems in terms of figuring out what the goals were and also problems with the structural aspect, we were still able to build a lot of real friendships with the people that we worked with.